What I'm about to reveal will change everything you thought you knew about XRP. Today, we're diving into a storm of developments that mainstream media refuses to touch, and I promise you, what you're about to hear could shock even the most seasoned crypto veterans. Imagine for a moment the SEC's next move, whispers of BlackRock's deep dive into Ripple's infrastructure, and the IMF quietly monitoring cross-border payment flows, all converging in a perfect storm that could ignite XRP like we've never seen before. This isn't speculation. This is what the insiders are quietly preparing for, and if you blink, you might miss it. But here's the kicker. The timing, the signals, and the liquidity movements are all lining up in a way that screams one thing. A major catalyst is looming, and if you're serious about positioning yourself before the masses catch on, you need to act now. And yes, before we go deeper, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because missing the next updates could literally cost you. Everyone else will be scrambling while you're already ahead, and trust me, you want to be on this side of the table. This is the part where most traders freeze, caught in indecision, while the real players, the institutions, the whales, and yes, some of the world's largest banks, quietly move mountains behind closed doors. But here's the question nobody is asking. If Ripple is about to unlock its next wave of partnerships and liquidity access, why is the market so quiet? Why hasn't the mainstream news screamed this to the masses yet? The answer is simple: control. Big players like JP Morgan, Citibank, and even regulators like the SEC thrive on opacity. They don't want retail getting ahead, and that's exactly why you're getting this alert directly. Because the insiders are signaling, and the charts, the on-chain activity, and yes, the global banking whispers all point to a shock event that could redefine XRP's trajectory in ways you can't yet imagine. Prepare for shock, because once these developments hit, the entire narrative around crypto liquidity, cross-border settlements, and institutional adoption could pivot overnight. And if you think this is just hype, think again. The movements we're seeing are backed by billions in capital waiting to flow, and XRP is sitting right at the center of that storm. WTF, can you feel it? This is not a drill, this is not a rumor. This is the real-time alignment of forces that could send XRP soaring beyond what even the most bullish analysts are daring to predict. Let's get into the data that the mainstream refuses to show you. On-chain analytics reveal an unusual surge in XRP whale activity. Wallets holding millions of XRP are moving in patterns that scream accumulation ahead of a major event. If you look at exchanges like Binance, Coinbase, and Kraken, inflows and outflows aren't random. They're highly coordinated, almost surgical, and they align perfectly with rumors of Ripple finalizing cross-border payment deals with major institutions in Asia and Europe. And don't just take my word for it. Sources close to executives at BlackRock and Fidelity indicate that these firms are exploring Ripple's liquidity hub for high-volume transactions that could redefine institutional crypto settlements. Let that sink in. BlackRock, the single largest asset manager in the world, quietly eyeing XRP as a strategic liquidity solution. This is the kind of development that changes everything for retail investors who think the market is too small for institutions. Meanwhile, the SEC is under pressure, yes, under pressure, to resolve its ongoing case with Ripple, and insiders suggest there's a strong chance of a favorable settlement. We're talking a legal reset that could instantly remove one of the biggest risk factors for XRP, unleashing pent-up demand from institutional and retail players alike. IMF reports and global banking communications indicate central banks are closely monitoring XRP's adoption in cross-border settlements, which means the infrastructure Ripple is building isn't just speculative. It's being validated at the highest levels of global finance. The charts confirm it. Accumulation zones, resistance levels, and liquidity walls are all signaling the same thing. The market is bracing for a shock wave. And here's the part that nobody else will tell you. This isn't gradual. This is an inflection point. The numbers don't lie. XRP's daily on-chain volume, paired with strategic partnerships being quietly signed behind the scenes, points to one outcome: a sudden surge in price and liquidity that could blindside anyone waiting for confirmation from mainstream outlets. If you've been watching XRP carefully, you've probably noticed these subtle but undeniable signals. whales increasing their stakes, exchanges seeing massive internal transfers, and institutional conversations intensifying around RippleNet. This combination of on-chain data, regulatory hints, and institutional whispers creates a perfect storm, a convergence of forces so precise that missing it could be catastrophic for anyone not positioned. And I'll ask you this, are you ready to watch this unfold from the sidelines while the big players move in silence? Or are you ready to act with the information that most traders will never see until it's too late? Because the time to watch is almost over, and the time to act is now. Now let's talk about the catalyst that could set everything on fire, and why the FUD you're seeing is exactly what they want you to focus on. Prepare yourself, because this is where it gets truly explosive. Ripple's upcoming announcements, rumored partnerships with major banks in Europe and Asia, and potential real-world adoption by payment giants could create an unprecedented liquidity surge. And yet, the market is being flooded with fear, uncertainty, and doubt, the classic manipulation play. Headlines claiming XRP is dead or regulatory issues continue are distractions, smoke and mirrors designed to keep retail out while institutional whales quietly load up positions. But let's break it down. The SEC, despite its aggressive rhetoric, is reportedly leaning toward a resolution that favors Ripple. Insider chatter from multiple legal analysts suggests that any settlement could remove one of the biggest hurdles in XRP's history, a regulatory green light that could unleash a tidal wave of new capital. And it's not just the SEC. Reports indicate that global financial giants like HSBC, JP Morgan, and even the IMF are tracking RippleNet's cross-border settlement efficiency, hinting at large-scale adoption that the mainstream refuses to cover. Now, consider the liquidity signals. Whales are positioning for what looks like a major event, and on-chain data confirms unusual spikes in large transfers to private wallets, not exchanges, meaning these are not short-term trades, these are strategic accumulations for a massive move. Here's the reality. The market is being manipulated to create fear, but the underlying fundamentals scream opportunity. XRP's tech is solid, adoption is accelerating, and the institutions are lining up like sharks smelling blood in the water. And the big question, the one no one dares to answer publicly, is this. If XRP is on the verge of clearing regulatory hurdles and securing high-volume partnerships, why would anyone in their right mind sell now? The answer is, you wouldn't. But the FUD creates hesitation, and hesitation is what separates winners from losers. That's why you need to look past the noise and focus on the signals that matter: liquidity, partnerships, on-chain movement, and regulatory shifts. This is the moment when positioning matters more than ever. The next wave of XRP could come suddenly, shockingly, and ruthlessly fast, catching unprepared traders completely off guard. Are you going to be watching from the sidelines, wondering what just happened? Or are you going to act with the knowledge that the big players are already using to their advantage? Prepare yourself, because once this catalyst hits, the narrative will flip, and those who recognize the signals will be the ones laughing while everyone else scrambles. Now, let's talk numbers, and I'm not talking casual guesses or hype from YouTube pundits. I'm talking a serious, data-driven rationale for why XRP could move explosively. If Ripple secures these high-volume partnerships, clears regulatory hurdles, and sees the liquidity we're tracking on-chain, the natural outcome is a dramatic price revaluation. Historical patterns from previous Ripple catalysts, combined with current whale accumulation and institutional positioning, suggest we could see XRP testing levels that would make even long-term bulls' jaws drop. We're talking multiples above current prices, fueled by a perfect storm of adoption, scarcity, and regulatory clarity. Consider this. Every time Ripple has announced a major partnership or product rollout, XRP has reacted sharply, and this time, the magnitude of these moves could be unprecedented, especially when you factor in BlackRock-level capital quietly circling the market. And here's the warning you need to hear. If you're not already paying attention, if you're ignoring these signs because the mainstream media isn't talking about them, you are exposing yourself to the risk of being completely blindsided. FOMO is a cruel teacher, and the time to prepare is before the wave, not after it hits. Imagine waking up one morning and seeing XRP surge 50%, 100%, or more overnight. That's not a fantasy. That's a realistic scenario when institutions move billions quietly behind the scenes while retail hesitates. And let me be blunt. If you dismiss the regulatory signals, the liquidity flows, and the whispers of major bank adoption, you're choosing to stay on the sidelines in a market that's about to explode. This is the crossroads. Either you recognize the data, the signals, the catalysts, and act with precision, or you watch as history passes by without you. Prepare for shock, because the next few weeks could redefine everything for XRP holders, traders, and anyone even remotely involved in crypto liquidity. Remember, this isn't speculation. It's strategic observation of forces that most people will never understand until it's too late. And when it hits, the market won't wait for latecomers. In conclusion, what we're witnessing isn't just another market fluctuation. This is a pivotal moment in XRP's history, a convergence of regulatory clarity, institutional adoption, and massive liquidity movements that could redefine the entire landscape of crypto finance. The signals are everywhere if you know where to look. Whale accumulation, on-chain surges, looming partnerships with major global banks, and a regulatory resolution that could remove the single largest barrier holding XRP back. This is your chance to act while the mainstream sleeps, while the headlines distract, and while the masses remain oblivious. The question is simple. Will you be a passive observer, watching from the sidelines as institutions quietly capitalize on this, or will you position yourself now, armed with the insider-level awareness that most traders will never get? The window is closing, the signals are clear, and the next wave of XRP adoption and price movement could arrive faster than anyone expects. Remember, this isn't just hype. This is the real-time alignment of forces that savvy investors and institutions have been anticipating for months, maybe years. Stay vigilant, stay informed, and most importantly, stay ahead. Because when this catalyst hits, the market will never look the same, and those prepared will be the ones rewriting their financial future while others scramble to catch up.